I'm an assistant district attorney for the Caddo Parish District Attorney's Office. And as we indicated in our statement to the parole board, we are strongly opposed to parole release in this situation. From our office's standpoint, the extreme nature of this crime alone warrants a denial of parole at this time. But now we have the additional notice, which I was also notified on Friday, of the arrest warrant for second-degree murder for Ms. Tito. We have additional grave concerns for public safety, as well as the fact that Ms. Tito will also pose a potential flight risk.
You heard that right. She is a pending case for another homicide. And you might recognize this case for two reasons. One is we covered this a year ago and it has 12,000 views, so there's a chance you've seen it. And two is that she made an episode on Investigation ID on deadly women. So you may have seen that. Now we're going to unpack it at the end. The reason we're doing it again is because of the update that the ADA was talking about. So we're going to unpack it at the end with those details. With that, let's jump in.
Your offenses are manslaughter in Caddo Parish, and you were sentenced on March 7th, 2007. At that time, you got 1,280 days jail credit. Your parole date is September 1st, 2023. Your adjusted good time date is March 31st, 2037. And your full time date is September 2nd, 2043. You received a 40-year sentence for the manslaughter conviction. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Your case has been assigned to Mrs. Pearl Wise. Would you please answer Mrs. Wise's questions?
Good afternoon. How's it going?
Very well.
Good, good. You got a nice smile on your face. It's good to see.
Thank you.
Tell me, call out for the record how long you've been in jail on this charge.
This coming September 1st will be 20 years.
20 years as of September 1st, okay. Tell us why you are in jail.
A situation arose in 2003 in Caddo Parish. I was up there checking on my lake house, and I handled the situation wrong. Because I handled the situation wrong, I hurt an innocent person, and she was innocent, and I'm fully responsible for what happened.
When you said she, who are you referring to? Who you hurt?
The lady's name is Judy Wynn. We had never met each other or seen each other before.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Was it because you was trying to get back with a boyfriend that
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Not
boyfriend?
I'm sorry. No,
What was the situation that came up?
Okay. The person that people often refer to, or the media rather referred to as a boyfriend, was nothing of the sort. We had a business transaction, and I was taken to the bank on a Friday, 10 minutes before the bank closed, by this person. And when they put a stack of papers in front of me to sign, I wanted to read them first. And he kept saying, we don't have time, we don't have time. They're trying to close the bank. Come on, this later. So I signed multiple signatures on a stack of papers at the bank. And unbeknownst to me, I signed a quitclaim on property that I owned. And that's what happened.
And so what was your relationship with Miss Judy Wynn's boyfriend? Or was they husband and wife?
No, they, as far as I know, they didn't have a relationship either. He just happened to be at that location when I went to go see him. And like I said, it's my fault. I handled the situation wrong. I shouldn't have, but unfortunately that's what happened.
And so why did you shoot him?
I don't have a logical, good explanation for that. I handled the entire situation wrong. I truly did. And it's
But there
my
was some indication in the record that you stated at the time of your arrest that you were gonna shoot her in the leg or in the knee. But she was standing up over the sink washing dishes. So that wasn't true either. That's that media stuff you were referring to earlier.
I never said anything about
Okay.
shooting. I
That's
read
it.
one article in the newspaper 20 years ago in the Shreveport Times, and everything in the paper was absolutely incorrect.
Okay.
So, no, ma'am.
So you trusted this young man to go to the bank with him and sign stuff. And
I
then where did that trust come from? What kind of relationship did y'all have?
He's actually older than me. He was friends with my mother for about 15 years. And when my mother introduced me to him when I had moved back to Louisiana from Las Vegas.
Okay.
But it was strictly a business deal.
Okay. So tell us what you've been doing this 19 years. What have you been doing?
Actually, the only good thing about being at LCIW in prison is they taught me how to sew. I worked in a garment factory at LCIW for 10 years. I absolutely loved it. I own my own sewing machine, and I currently sew and do hobby craft. I have completed the NCCER program. I completed the IC3 program. I've been on the waiting list for Microsoft. I'm currently supposed to be the next person to enter into the Microsoft program. I've been on a waiting list for sign language since last year, and they haven't had the program up and running yet, but they're supposed to sometime. And I work. I was an orderly twice at Angola at LSP.
And what? I didn't catch that. Say it again.
I was an orderly 2 different times, twice at Angola. When we had the catastrophic flood, August 16th of 2016, we had to borrow the old death row building at Angola for the ladies that were serving lockdown time to go and serve their lockdown time there. And I worked there 2 different times, and I absolutely loved my job up there. Even though I was only paid a small wager of incentive pay 5 days a week, I worked 7 days a week voluntarily because I felt like I was paying for my privilege to be able to have that job. It's a very well trustee job at Angola. I wish it was still there, honestly.
Oh, so what is your status now in terms of trustee? What's your status?
I'm told that I'm still minimum status. I'm still minimum status trustee, yes, ma'am. And I work in the inner yard every day as a groundskeeper, and I'm the unofficial snake catcher at LCIW.
Okay, you're that person. Okay. So what happened with the garment factory? Why you stopped working there?
Well, unfortunately, we no longer have the garment factory. I'm hoping that when they do move in a couple of years to this location, yes, ma'am, the men unfortunately got to grab all of our contracts when we were forced to give up the garment factory.
I'm sure that the right people are working on that. I saw it. What's your marital status now?
Oh,
are you married?
Yes, ma'am. On paper. Yes, ma'am.
When did that happen? When did that transpire?
1991.
Oh, okay. This is before this offense. Okay, I thought it was a new.
Yes, ma'am. In Las Vegas. I'm sorry.
Okay, I thought it was a new marriage. Okay. This is and you got your high set since you've been down, right, in 2017. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. I did. I took 6 hours of algebra class and took the test and passed.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. You were right there. And you got 155 days of programs. So call out the programs that meant the most to you that you've taken.
I'm sorry?
What program? Tell us about the programs you've taken.
Definitely the IC3, the computer, because that's what I plan on doing. I've already spoken. I've had a Zoom meeting with Operation Restoration, and they're lining up coding classes for me so I can get some computer language classes under my belt if I am granted parole and able to go home. I'd like to be able to sit on the beach with my laptop and make money. That would be, that would be ideal. And with computer coding classes, you can work remotely from anywhere in the world.
That's true.
Work and save money for retirement. I'll be 60 years old next year. I don't know how this happened. I feel like I should still be in Vegas tearing up the strip when I was 25, but unfortunately I've gotten older and I'd love to be able to get out and work and earn money and save money for retirement.
Good thinking. That's real good thinking. And then one of the things that I appreciate about you that I saw in the record that after the shooting occurred, you turned yourself in to the police department. That was good.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I would never abscond for any reason.
Mhm. But you do have law enforcement opposition to your early release. I think it's going to be expressed here later on. And the victim's family is opposed as well to your early release. There's nothing you can do about it. I'm just really stating it for the record and making sure that they know. If you had an opportunity to speak to your victim, what would you say?
I would say that I apologize for my actions that transpired. And there's absolutely nothing I know that I could do or say to replace their loved one. But I am responsible for everything. And I can promise you I'll never touch another gun as long as I live. I know that.
There was some indication that you were on some medication that you did not want to tell us about that.
Medication,
Medical meds.
I'm not sure.
Not sure about that?
No, I mean, no, I'm not understanding the question. I didn't hear the question clearly. Something about medication?
Yeah, are you being followed medically by anybody at the institution?
Followed medically?
No, it's for medical, for hypertension.
Oh, I was diagnosed with high blood pressure here at LCIW. Yes, ma'am. Is that what
Okay.
you're to?
I don't know. It really didn't tell us what it was, but it was just that you were not taking the medicine as prescribed. I wanted you to explain that to us, whatever the medication was.
Or the blood pressure and cholesterol were a little elevated.
Oh, I do have my blood pressure medicine, my cholesterol medicine, and the thyroid medication is probably what it is. I had stopped taking my thyroid medication for about 1.5 years because it was making my hair fall out. It was making my hair, it was called Synthroid, if that's what they're
I don't
referring to.
know. So you didn't tell us that. It just showed that you're not compliant
Yes,
with recommendation medication.
I do take it now. Yes, ma'am. I have all of that medication in my locker. I have what's called KOP, which means keep on person. And if you're
Okay.
trusted with medication, they give it to us and we keep it locked up in our locker and we take it as needed. And
Okay.
I did stop taking my thyroid medication for about 1.5 years because my hair just became incredibly thin. And unfortunately, we don't have any hair extensions here.
Okay. And okay. And tell us about your write-ups. How many write-ups have you had in this 19 years?
Okay, when we were at the real LCIW, they called it doing a 90 because all that meant was if you got in trouble with a disciplinary infraction, you went to lockdown for 90 days. That was the norm. Ma'am, I've never done a 90 in the whole time I've been at LCIW, never. I want to say I had an expired inhaler and I had a write-up for that. All this was before 2016, but before the flood. The flood happened August 16th of 2016. And I know any write-up that I received before the flood.
But I'm showing one on April the 24th of 19 for a disobedience. Do you remember that one?
Oh, that might have been when I quit the garment factory. Did I get a write-up for quitting the garment factory?
So 19.
Oh, no, that couldn't have been because I was here at Jetson in 19. What did I get a write-up for at Jetson?
It's a disobedience. You don't.
No, I don't. She's looking it up now because I honestly don't remember ever going to court here.
And then you have one in April for a 28 and 18. Do you remember what that was about? That was a work offense. And that's when.
Yeah, the work offense for 18 would have been the garment factory. That's when I quit working at the garment factory at Hunt's, and they moved me from Hunt's over to here to Jetson. Now, that did happen. Yes, ma'am.
You said you loved the factory. Why did you quit?
Oh, I did. I love the fact that the garment factory we had at LCIW in St. Gabriel, that was a real garment factory. We had 84 employees. Our quota.
Tell me about the one you quit. Tell me about the one you quit.
Okay. That was a modular building that they had set up at Hunt's. I transferred myself from Cottonport, where I was evacuated to, of Oils Parish, to Hunt's to get away from inmates because they had inmates taking drugs at Cottonport, and I didn't want to be around that. So I transferred myself from Cottonport to Hunt's. When I got to Hunt's, they put me in the garment factory right away. It was a modular building, and they had just a handful of employees working there. They only had one line running instead of the huge garment factory that I was used to. And honestly, they had basically turned that garment factory over to let certain inmates run the garment factory. And it just was not a good atmosphere to be in. So yes, ma'am, I did quit my job there for that reason. And I put myself in lockdown. I respectfully declined to work in the garment factory. I put myself in lockdown and I stayed there until I was transferred from Hunt's to over here to JCCY. That is.
But you still don't remember why you got the 5 and 19. You don't remember that.
Wait, what is that? Okay, she's trying to look it up now because I don't remember ever getting a report over here. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I drink so much Sweet and Low with my coffee, my memory is gone.
So now, if you were, now where would you live and how would you take care of yourself?
Okay, if you grant me parole, there's 3 choices, and I honestly, whichever one you tell me to go to, that's what I'm going to do. I intend to reside in Jefferson Parish is my first choice. Okay. To rent a house from Frank Marula in Grand Isle. I will also be working for him. I've entered all the home address that I will rent his. I will work for him at Tommy's Restaurant on the beach in Grand Isle. Ms. P spoke to Frank today and Friday and got the information from him. My second choice would be to do an interstate compact to go to Illinois, but I would only be able to do that after I testify in a upcoming trial for Jefferson Parish. And because I'm going to testify in that trial no matter where I come from.
Okay.
My third choice is I've already had a Zoom meeting with Operation Restoration, and I have a paper in here stating that Catholic Charities is going to meet with me if I'm granted parole to also put me into transitional housing, as well as Operation Restoration is willing to do the same if you don't approve me renting the house in Grand Isle from Mr. Marula or the interstate compact to Illinois. And honestly, if you tell me to go on the roof and do my parole time on the roof, that's where I'm going.
Okay. Oh. So you don't have any children, is that correct?
No, ma'am, I'm a cancer survivor. I had uterine cancer at an early age.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. But you survived that, like you said, you survived.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, thank you for talking to me. Warren, what you want to tell us?
I think Ms. Tito has covered most of it, but she is minimum status offender. She is definitely a hard worker. What we have appreciated most, I know she talked about her time working as an orderly at the state penitentiary, and that is with our maximum security inmates. So that's not always an easy job, and she always did it professionally and always had great behavior out there, and she had a good rapport with the ladies who were doing their maximum segregation time. She is low risk and needs, and like I said, she's just a hard worker. She's currently finishing up her reentry class. So a few things. I think, like I said, she covered most of it, but yes, ma'am, I'm sorry.
And she had victim awareness? I didn't see.
No, ma'am, I don't believe she had completed that.
Okay, good. She has a high said, okay.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right. Also, but she's rated as a fair institutional record. You notice that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. But that's all I had, Chairman.
Mr. Green? Warden, I have a couple of questions. I see on her master record that she has a write-up. 1 second. On September 23rd, 2021. And while she was at Louisiana State Penitentiary.
That's the date that I went back to Angola the second time to be an orderly. That's the day I went.
Her
September 23rd.
transfer record is gonna show LSP because she was living there as an orderly. She was not maximum security. So I don't have a write-up for 2021. I'm just showing that that's the date she transferred back to work as an orderly.
Right.
So evidently somebody hit the wrong button because on a master record, it's labeled as a disciplinary write-up.
Mm-mm.
Correct. We'll check on that. I'm sorry, but no, that's while she was working as an orderly. We'll get that corrected.
Yeah, okay.
Good.
Now, Ms. Tito, are you aware that you have an active warrant?
That is for Jefferson Parish. I'm testifying for Jefferson Parish in an upcoming trial. Okay. This is my letter of immunity. I don't know if they want copies or faxes from it. This is my letter of immunity from Sabine Parish.
We don't need it. We have all of that.
Okay.
Why would Jefferson Parish issue an active arrest warrant for a witness?
Okay. The only thing that I can think of, because this came in Friday. This came in Friday after I had met with Warden Thomas going over my parole packet. And within an hour after me leaving her office Friday morning, that's when this detainer came in. I was called back up here to be made aware of the detainer. The only thing that I can think of is why they would put that detainer on me less than 72 hours before my parole board hearing, is they're afraid that I may disappear and not testify for them. This is a 40-year-old cold case, and I am the only person that can clear this case up for them, and I fully intend to do so. I have told them everything they have wanted to know. I've been to Sabine Parish once. I've been to Jefferson Parish 2 or 3 times. Yes, sir.
That's enough information.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Now, at this time, we'd like to hear from the Assistant District Attorney from Caddo Parish.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak to the board. Again, my name is Alexandra Porupski. I'm an Assistant District Attorney for the Caddo Parish District Attorney's Office. And as we indicated in our statement to the parole board, we are strongly opposed to parole release in this situation. From our office's standpoint, the extreme nature of this crime alone warrants a denial of parole at this time. But now we have the additional notice, which I was also notified on Friday, of the arrest warrant for second-degree murder for Ms. Tito. We have additional grave concerns for public safety, as well as the fact that Ms. Tito will also pose a potential flight risk. As it relates to the offense for which she was convicted, I want to clarify a few points. From reviewing the arrest warrant as well as the police reports in this matter, it does indicate that there was a romantic relationship between Ms. Tito formerly prior to the death of Ms. Judy Wynn, and that Ms. Judy Wynn was in a relationship with Mr. Shufflin at the time Ms. Tito shot and killed her. It also indicates that Ms. Tito had engaged in repeated and consistent harassment of Ms. Wynn prior to Ms. Wynn's death, including vandalizing her vehicle and leaving threatening notes on the vehicle, as well as leaving threatening voicemails. That's clearly differently from how she has described the situation, but this is based on the information that we have. And we do believe that, I actually find it very interesting that Ms. Tito is giving a very different version of events, which causes our office additional concerns. Again, we believe that given the heinous nature of this crime, that for her to serve anything less than the 40-year sentence she agreed to would deprecate the serious nature of this crime, and that she should be made to serve the entirety of her sentence. As I previously stated, we do have concerns about this new information regarding the second-degree murder arrest warrant that's currently active for her. I don't have any additional information as it relates to that. But once again, that does give our office serious concerns about public safety and potential flight risk. So we would ask that her parole be denied at this time.
Thank you, ma'am. We appreciate the information.
Thank you.
Ms. Tito,
Yes, sir.
would you like to make a brief closing statement and keep that statement to information on why you think this panel should release you early?
Yes, sir. What the lady said was true. I did leave voicemail on Judy Wynn's recording device at her home the day before.
Ma'am, why should we release you early?
Because 20 years ago, I was a completely different person. I'm mature, I'm older, I am wiser. I am no threat to anyone in society. I am no threat to anyone anywhere. I simply wish to get out and follow God, do the right thing, work 7 days a week, preferably, and further my education, and honestly make money and be able to save money for my retirement. I don't wish to harm anyone, anywhere, at any time. I have learned my lesson. God got my attention these last 20 years. I can promise you that.
Thank you, Ms. Tito, and thank you for the compliance with your statement.
Thank you.
Is the panel ready to vote?
Yes, I'm ready to vote.
Yes. Ms. Watts?
Yeah, Ms. Tito, I'm very concerned about you. There's the statements that you made, even the way you described the crime. Someone died. Someone died. I want to make sure you hear me. Someone died. You standing outside the window and you shot and you killed someone. That's very disturbing, the way you portray the events today. It's very concerning for me. My vote is denied because of the impact of the crime. Insufficient time served, the nature of the offense, and your lack of remorse or insight into the crime. My vote, I'm only one vote.
Mr. Freeman?
Ms. Tito, due to opposition law enforcement, and I feel there was a total lack of truthfulness, I also vote to deny.
Ms. Tito, you have received 2 votes to deny your request. I too agree with both of my colleagues. Both gave different reasons, but I agree with both my colleagues. My vote also is to deny. You have received 3 votes to deny your request. Your request for early release has been denied. You have a good day.
Thank you.
Warden Thomas, that concludes our business with Louisiana Correctional Institute for Women. Time is 1:24. It's always a pleasure, Warden Thomas. You have a good day.
Thank you, you too.
Okay, so let's unpack this. But before we do, let's give Miss Wise, I think, the credit that she deserves for that mic drop. We don't see it from her every day, and I really like the way that she ended that, saying, like, you just don't get the seriousness of the crime. And, you know, you really didn't get any of that vibes in it. It's like, what is she saying? She wants to be back on the Vegas Strip. I'm sure you do. I mean, she does look great for everything considered. but the idea that she's just taken the crime like without any, it seemed, just any understanding, any compassion, any empathy, anything, and just downplaying the whole situation. And the ADA showed up, and you would really hope she'd show up with the taking into account that, hello, she's like being investigated for this other cold case murder. And here it is. She got charged just a few weeks before she was going to get released on her good time date. She was going to get released February 7, 2024, regardless, when they when they charged her basically on January 5th, 2024. So woman suspected in 1984 cold case now faces murder charges in Jefferson Parish. Wow. So we'll get into this, and thank you, Richard. Richard said, Mandy, you gotta do this one again. So a woman already serving prison time for the killing of a love rival was transported to Jefferson Parish to be arraigned in a 39-year-old murder investigation. And again, you might have seen this on Investigation ID. It was season 11, episode 13. It's called Dumped and Dangerous. And we can go over that summary after we do this. So Patricia Tito, 59, pleaded not guilty Thursday to second-degree murder in the death of Lester Rome, who disappeared in 1984. Rome's skeletal remains were discovered at the bottom of a well in northwest Louisiana. 2 years later, though, authorities did not positively identify him until 2021. Back in 1984, Tito was a known companion of Rome, then 57, and a co-owner of Rome's Lounge in Grand Isle. He went missing in January of that year, according to the Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office. Tito was the last person seen Rome alive. This is just crazy, right? I mean, we're dealing with like, I guess she only needs one more to be classified as serial killer, right? Tito was okay to see her alive. She told detectives she'd driven him to the airport to catch a flight to Las Vegas, according to authorities. But here she is, the Las Vegas. But investigators couldn't find any evidence that he'd ever boarded a flight. He was never heard from again. In April of 1986, skeletal remains of an unidentified man were found at the bottom of a water well in many Louisiana. Imagine people drinking from that well. I don't know if they. About 335 miles from Grand Isle, the sheriff's office said the man had died of blunt force trauma and possible stab wounds. He was known only as the man in the well. Until the staff of LSU Forensic Anthropology and Computer Enhancement Services lab partnered with Sabine Parish officials, or Sabine, I don't know, to formally identify the remains as belonging to Rome, according to authorities. Jefferson and Sabine Parish investigators interviewed Tito, and in 2022, she admitted that she was present when Rome was killed, authorities said. And this is just absolutely incredible. And I guess we got it at her interview, right? Kind of like her personality. But you're in prison. You're about to get out on good time, and you don't have the street smarts to say, attorney? No, I can see it now. She probably sat in there with them and just opened up and and they probably didn't interrupt her, and they just let her talk her way into another prosecution. Tito accused a man named Delvin of actually committing the slaying, according to Jefferson Parish. I mean, hello, you would think you would have learned something in the years you've been sitting in prison. Wow. It was Sibley who took off with Rome's body, she told investigators. The well in which Rome's remains were found was on property owned by Sibley's family, the Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office said. Though detectives consider Sibley a person of interest, he has not been arrested in connection with Rome's killing, authorities said. Well, I mean, he was 76 at the time. I mean, I guess he's still alive, right? Cold case detectives obtained a warrant for Tito's arrest in March. A Jefferson Parish grand jury indicted her December 7th with either acting alone or in concert with the unindicted principal to commit second-degree murder, court records said. After the indictment, the court set Tito's bail at $750,000. The Jefferson Parish District Attorney's Office on Tuesday asked the Jefferson Parish Criminal Commissioner Paul Schneider to continue holding Tito here until February 5th, status hearing instead of sending her back to the Louisiana Correctional Center for Institute of Women, where she has been serving a 40-year sentence for manslaughter. Tito pled guilty to shooting Judy Wynn, 59, in a romantic rival at one Shreveport home in 2003. So she has blood on her hands. It's unbelievable. Now, Richard did share all of the docs. I'm not going through all of it because it basically leads up to this. It's like the first article, the second, the third, but she like totally, you would just assume that all she had to say is attorney and they would have had no case on her. But how could they? But hey, some people just can't keep their mouth shut, and I would say that's for the best, right? So this is a summary of the show that I mentioned, Deadly. So for her initial crimes, I'll just read it to you. I'll give you how they paint the picture. So Patricia Tito enjoys using sex to get what she wants from men and thinks she's hit the jackpot when she moves in with well-to-do Chris Shufflin until Chris has a stroke and the money train grinds to a halt and she leaves him. When she's unable to find another sugar daddy, Patricia decides to reconcile with Chris, only to learn that he has a new girlfriend, Judy Wynn, who is 21 years Patricia's senior. Patricia stalks and threatens Judy, and in August of 2003 shoots her to death. Judy's dying words implicate Patricia, who got a 40-year sentence. I guess there's two other cases they mentioned in the summary. So that was what Miss Wise was alluding to. She went there and she shot her 4 times through the window. And it's just, and to think that she might have gotten out. Obviously, she doesn't have the maturity, you would argue, to not just get in this type of situation again. But thank you, Richard, for bringing up this case. We'll keep you up to date on it. Hey, if it goes to trial or something, maybe we can get more information that we can share with you. But it's just the saga of this woman who seems to enjoy killing people and probably is safest bet to keep her locked up. And with that, I'll let you go.